Cross back to the Pretoria High Court, where former SAA board chairperson Dudu Myeni is giving testimony.
And look at the geographic position of SAA, where we are as the country at the bottom of the hemisphere. You look at whether we are looking at different other countries where we want to fly to. Are we saying the current order of 2002 is the right order or not? Can these old engines save us jet fuel when we start operating them, or you're bringing an old engine that is not going to serve you? All our competing airlines are coming with A330s, they're coming with A350s, but we're still coming with these gaslers, the old engines. Are we going to compete in this modern and highly tech world, and in fact in the aviation space? Therefore, this discussion of swap was to explore if Airbus would be amenable to changing the 2002 order. I think the remaining order were 10 aircraft. I can't remember accurately, but I think it was 10 that was supposed to be delivered to us. Therefore, that's how I remember the swap transaction of the Airbus.
Who was leading these negotiations and deliveries?
All of us.
When you say all of you, what do you mean?
I'm talking about the board.
Right.
Yes.
When you say leading them, I'm saying, were you negotiating directly with Airbus?
Not really negotiating with Airbus. The board would task the executives. This is not the issue of the board to go and say, go and negotiate. The board has a CEO that is tasked. He's an accounting officer who reports to the board on the actions that the board have taken, and he comes back to the board to report about those actions.
Now, I'm not too sure whether you recall, but did this process require a Section 54 application to National Treasury?
It would certainly require the approval of the shareholder.
So you can go with me to Airbus Bundle Volumes 1 to 3. And under Volume 3, I'd like to go to page 155A.
I have.
You see that?
Yes.
It's a letter from the Minister of Finance. And it's dated at the back 30th of July 2015.
Yes.
And it was addressed to yourself. You see that?
Yes.
And the heading is application by South African Airways to enter into A320 swap deal with Airbus.
Yes.
As far as you recall, did the minister approve this application for done in July? Probably his response was in July, but it may have been done earlier. Do you recall?
The minister was not against the proposals that the board had that were being presented on his day.
Now, so do I understand you correctly then to say, in principle, or whether tacitly or implicitly, the minister was not against the swap transaction?
Sorry, my lady, the minister was not against it, but he had given us some tasks.
In your understanding, how were these planes going to be financed when the swap transaction was being negotiated? Do you recall?
When the minister, it's just that maybe this is too long. This is too long ago. Sorry.
That's fine.
When the minister wrote to us regarding the swap transaction, he was open to us exploring possibilities and options and putting before him a proper and a compelling business case. When I say us, I wasn't going to be putting together a compelling business case, but the technical people at SAA would do that. But also, because this needed Section 54 approval, the onus was on the minister to say, I approve the swap or I don't want the swap. So, and we did also say in our request that we would like to explore possibilities of getting the local financier of these aircrafts so that it's not, again, paid in foreign currencies.
What was your issue, or what was your concern with foreign currency?
I think in normal business, there's nothing wrong. In a normal corporate world, there's nothing wrong with foreign currencies. But the issue becomes the fact that in a company like South African Airways that has been seen as the most unprofitable company, or the notorious company that keeps going to the government to ask for money for bailouts, it would be irresponsible of us not to look at day-to-day operations and also arriving at what comes at the end of the month. We should be able to pay monthly obligations as and when they are due. Therefore, the understanding of the foreign currency here was that we were not going to be able to hedge or go and negotiate a certain flat rate. Therefore, in our budgeting, it was difficult to say the rand would remain this much, and therefore we shall be able to meet those payments as they are due. That is why we thought local financier was going to be better in serving the airline.
Right. I'd like you to go to page 177 of volume 3.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Now, there's a letter addressed to Airbus SAS, Mr. Bridget. You see that?
Yes.
And this letter is signed by yourself at the bottom.
Correct.
Now, this letter is dated 29 September.
Correct.
What I'm interested in, first part is that who wrote this letter?
It's got my signature.
Yes.
It means I wrote it, but it was drafted my company secretary and sent it to me, and then I signed it. It's my letter.
Why would the company secretary have drafted this letter out of state? Do you remember?
She is the one who would have the addresses of these external stakeholders, but also she is the custodian of, okay, if the board takes decisions and certain communication must be done, if I'm still at SAA after those decisions that we have taken, if I'm still in the building, she would be able to say, I have a folder for you for letters needing your signature. And then she would come with those letters. I look at the drafts, I edit them, I send them back. She would put them together. Sometimes I sign them the following day if I stay over, because I stay in another province, not in Gauteng. Therefore, she would put these letters together and print them and come, and then I would sign them.
Right. Now let's go to page 178.
Yes.
It says minutes of the special meeting of 2015 SAA SOC Board of Directors held on Tuesday, 29 September. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Present as yourself, Ms. Kunana, and Mr. Mayor. And then in attendance is a long list. Do you recall this meeting?
I do.
Now, at the bottom is apologies. Apologies is Dr. Tambi and Mr. Dixon. See that?
Yes.
Great. Now, it has been said about this meeting that you were the only person speaking at this meeting. Somebody has gone as far as saying this whole meeting was a monologue of yourself. Do you accept that?
My lady, it's not true.
Well, if you can help us then understand why you say that it's not true.
In the board charter, it states very clearly that the chairperson facilitates discussions in any meeting, but the chairperson is not the center of the meeting, nor is not the person who speaks alone and dominates the meeting. It's on page 4 of 19 of the charter. It states clearly what ought to happen in every meeting. So it is not true that this meeting was a monologue. What is different about this particular meeting is that it was an extended meeting where we asked the executives to be present at this meeting. But, my lady, if we go through these minutes, there are a number of matters that were discussed here. The board, if we could look at 180. The board therefore requested, it's not one person talking. It's not the chairperson talking.
Can we go to page 180?
Yes.
Paragraph?
Paragraph F. Conclusion of all master and supporting commercial agreement between SAA and SA Express. It was reported that, it does not say the chairperson said. And if you look at the next paragraph, the board therefore, and if you look at G,
well, let's read the full paragraph.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was reported that the commercial agreements between SAA and SAX were concluded and signed. The board highlighted that it was imperative that all EXCO members understood what was entailed in the commercial agreements.
Right. The next paragraph.
Number G, conclusion of the A320.
If we can go back there where you started.
Yeah.
Now, on the right hand, there's something that says GM commercial. What was that about? What does that mean?
This would have been either the report that was made by the GM commercial or the task that he has to make as the general manager Commercial. In this case, it was Sylvain.
Sylvain? No? What? Can you say Mr. Sylvain Post?
Sorry, Mr. Sylvain Post.
You want to continue?
On page 184, on item 4.4, delivery of a proposal and business case for the West African hub. The GM Commercial reported that the creation of West I know that I've got to read the whole paragraph, but what I'm trying to emphasize is that this was no monologue. People were talking, so it is not true that this was a monologue.
Thank you. Now, go back now to page 181. In the middle of the page, there's a heading that says local leasing company. See that?
Yes.
If I may relieve you of the reading, because we've dealt with this at length, I'll read it. It says, the board requested management to direct members to individuals or institutions which could unlock opportunities for SAA. In particular, it was stated that there was a need to access the Department of Trade and Industry National Industrial Participation Program funding for local aircraft leasing company. It was stated that the idea was to request the DTI through one of its entities to hold a majority stake in the aircraft leasing company together with the Public Investment Corporation and the Development Bank of South Africa. Do you recall this discussion?
I do.
Who, it says here the board, but do you recall who was speaking all these ideas?
I do, my lady.
Who was it?
Mrs. Kwinana and Dr. Tambi.
Now,
Sorry, Mrs. Kwinana was more interested in the local aircraft leasing company. So, because it had been done before, I'm checking because Dr. Tambi was not there. We had discussed this matter. It was proposed even way before this meeting. Therefore, in this particular meeting, Ms. Kwinana was speaking to it.
now, what I'm interested in is the following. Ms. Michelle testified to say, you walked into the meeting and said, I have good news. We found a company. Do you recall that? Did you utter those words?
We found a company.
No, that you personally. You said, you walked into the meeting and you said, I don't know what you said we, whether you meant yourself or the company, but you said you announced at this meeting that a company had been found. Is that correct?
My lady, that can never be true. Can I support my assertion? My lady, SAA is amongst maybe 15 other boards that I've served into. I know the role of a non-executive director. It is not the responsibility of a non-executive director to go out and look for a company to do business with SAA. But it is the responsibility of the board to ensure that there is policy that is developed, a policy that will talk to whatever issue that should be done. Like, for instance, if you don't have a policy on gender representation, maybe HR does not have commitment to bringing in women, to bringing in people with disabilities in the employment of in the organization, then you encourage the CEO to start engaging on those issues, to say, let us start or let us review the policy, because the custodian of a policy in every organization is the board. But the board will not implement any policy. The board will ensure through the CEO that it encourages the CEO to implement. Therefore, if the board had taken a decision to do or to explore the possibilities of the aircraft leasing company, it would be then the responsibility of the executives to explore whether that is possible, and secondly, whether it is permissible, because you were going to also, if you establish something like this, you still have to go through to Section 54. So you can never say, it actually deflates me to hear that an executive who is actually older than me would come and lie in the court. Sorry, my lady, maybe I should not say that, and state things that are not factual.
Now, I'd like us to go to page 196F. It starts at actually 196E. 196E, the substance, the body is on F.
196?
There's an email dated 3 October at the bottom. See that?
Yes.
Now, this is an email sent by Ruth Kibuka to Jerome. Did you know who Jerome was?
Yes.
Who was Jerome?
It was a South African Airways representative of Emirates. Sorry. My apologies, my lady. Representative of Airbus.
Now, if we scroll, and I'll read the email. It says, "Dear Jerome, trailing email below forwarded to me by the acting CEO says, we are concerned about the contents of the letter, especially the opening line that, based on the letter from South African Airways chair received yesterday by Airbus, it seems that the board hasn't approved the A320 swap by A300 yet." You remember that? Are you there?
It looks like I'm lost. Is it 196E?
E at the bottom.
It's cut at the bottom. I've got the one that says Dear Ruth.
That's the middle of the page. Then I can give you mine.
Thank you.
Now, given that I've now lost mine, but what I want to read is the top of that email. You see that?
Yes.
Now we've established that it's an email from Ruth Kibuka. And
yes,
it's now common cause that Ruth Kibuka was the company secretary. Right?
Yes.
Now, great.
Okay, so my lady, the email reads, did you say I must read?
Yes, please.
The email reads, the SAA board approved the A320 swap by A330, and there has been no change in that regard. The slight change in the transaction that the letter refers to is in respect of how the A330s will be funded. The board has opted to engage an African aircraft leasing company which will provide the financing for the A330s. We are mindful of the tight timelines, and would like to see this matter concluded as quickly as possible. In this regard, we would like to know what other documents you require in order for Airbus to proceed with the swap of the A320s for the A330s. Kind regards.
And that was from?
It was from Ruth Kibuka, the company secretary of SAA.
Now, can you do me this favor? Can you put the one finger on 196F and just hold it there? And then turn back to page 177.
Yes, I have it.
There's a comparison I'd like to do for you. It says at the second paragraph at 177, I am pleased to inform you that SAA has decided to do the transaction slightly differently. Do you see that?
Yes.
By engaging an African aircraft leasing company to engage with. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now let's go back to 196F. The second thing says the slight change in the transaction, right? So I'm saying, do you see that at 177 there's the word slightly differently. At 196 it says slight change.
Yes.
Now it's been your evidence that this letter here was drafted by this company secretary.
Correct.
And we now have an email drafted by the same. Is this wording, in your view, similar or not?
It is similar. The company secretary would have been in the... My lady, sorry. The company secretary would have been part and parcel of the board meeting, and therefore she's the custodian of the resolutions taken, even if the resolution reads, it was agreed that this and this and this gets done. It will read like that, or it was decided at the meeting that whatever the particular matter could be done.
I do, my lady. This version was not put to any of plaintiff's witnesses. It's the first time we're hearing this. Yes, the similar wording and who drafted. This was put to nobody. We've never had to answer this case. It's too late.
My lady, it's not a version, so to speak. I leave this evidence in as far as getting this witness to illustrate the author of this document. So, if it's interpreted as a version, then I don't know.
What about I'm taking over and I'm taking over as one before? And obviously, this can raise this argument and the value of the evidence in the light of all the circumstances can be determined by us.
Well, my lady, the Constitutional Court held in the SAFU matter that it is impermissible evidence. It may not be led, that the defendant may not put evidence to its witnesses that has never been put before the plaintiff's witnesses. It's not something that should be weighed at all. It's out of court. It's inadmissible. You know, the plaintiff might have chosen to call Mr. Buka. The plaintiff might have chosen many reasons. So, lady, I can look for the reference at lunchtime. But this is not a question of weight. It's a question of admissibility.
Well, I'll determine after the lunch dinner when I'll witness the evening and I'll continue to address you.
As the court pleases.